The story of the talking donkey in the Bible. The Bible tells us that Balaam was the son of Beor, living in Pethor near Euphrates River. Balaam was highly regarded as by the Moabites and Midianites as a soothsayer and prophet who could bless or curse with his words. His brother Bela was a king of Edom. Although Balaam lived among idolaters, he professed great knowledge of God. So, when the Israelites encouraged on the plains of Moab, the king of Moabites, Balak summoned Balaam. He feared the Israelites would attack and he wanted Balaam to put a curse on them. Balaam is known as a powerful diviner. The story of Balaam, son of Beor, and the talking donkey is found in Numbers 22 to 23 in the Bible. The son of Beor was at the point of a good prophet of God, but he had a strong love for the money, and these weaknesses led to his fall. The people of Israel were close to finally entering the promised land, and they were near the borders of a country whose king was Balak. When Balak saw the host of Israel, he was afraid and sent for Balaam, a known prophet at the time, to come and curse the Israelites. In exchange, the king promised the prophet gifts. Balak had heard of the effectiveness of this prophet's powers, but the prophet knew that the Israelites were God's people and that he could not curse them. Instead of saying no to King Balak's offer, he hesitated because of the rich gifts and promises of wealth that the king of Moab offered him. In verse 12 and 13, God revealed his will to the prophet, saying, "You shall not go with them, you shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the prince of Moab, "Go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to give me permission to go with you." But the prophet wanted in his heart to go and obtain the gifts. Had he desired to do God's will, the words recorded in the verse 12 would have ended the matter. But when a man is insistent on his own way, the God allows him to do what he wants and reap the consequences. We see that in Psalm 81 to 11. God's government is a government of free moral choice. He does not force human will. He instructs man that disobedience brings destruction, but does not stop man's wrong choices. The Lord permitted the prophet to do what he really wanted to do. And the Lord said, "If the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do." This was merely a permissive command. It was not based on God's will, but on man's will. Now, what is the talking donkey? How is it connected to this story? Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with Moabite officials. But God was very angry with him, and the angel of God stood in the road to oppose him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand, it turned off the road into a field. So the prophet beat it to get it back on the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path through the vineyards with the walls on both the sides. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it pressed close to the wall, crushing the prophet's foot against it. So the prophet beat the donkey one more time. Again the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under the prophet, who became angry and beat it with his staff. At this point, the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to the man, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" Then God opened Balaam's eyes and showed him the angel standing in the way with his sword drawn in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. The donkey was trying to avoid death. Greed blinded the eyes of Balaam that he could not see what the donkey was saying. The truth is that the prophet owed his life to the ass he had severely beaten. The spirit that controlled him was reflected in his behavior. The story continues when the Lord permitted Balaam to do what he wants and go to Balak. But he commanded him, saying, "Only the word that I speak to you, and you shall speak." So Balaam went to Balak. There he prophesied, "How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? And how shall I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? Who can count the dust of Jacob, or the number 1/4 of Israel?" Balak got angry and rebuked Balaam, for instead of cursing Israel, he blessed it. Balaam responded that he could not speak expect, except what the God has put in his mouth. So, despite pressure from Balak, Balaam remains faithful to Jehovah and blesses the people of Israel. This is the famous story of Balaam and the donkey. Thank you for watching, and please do subscribe and forward this to your friends. Thank you.